Before we begin today's members early access video, I want to greatly thank all of my super and supreme supporter on the channels. For the super supporters, we have Notif, Brian Wren, David Millerant, Chaz Weber, Coping or Cooking, and Supreme Bugs. And for the supreme supporters, we have Caleb Barlow and Bionic Ninja. I greatly appreciate all of your guys' support, and of course to all of my regular members. You help so much as well. You're all amazing. Thank you for your support. You help me keep doing what I'm doing. And anybody who's not a member, if you're seeing this come out on Saturday, for example, you could have seen this on Fridays. If you want to get access to those early access videos that come out every single Friday for members, you can join up on the YouTube channel right now for as little as $5 a month and get access to that as well as other perks, such as private channels in the Discord. Anyways, let's get on to the video. Hello there, and welcome back to the Codex. Today we're going to be talking about how absolutely disgusting of a combination that using Harrow is with the Komorex sniper rifle. So let's go ahead and hop into that. First we'll take a look at the Harrow build. So this is just my standard sort of survival Harrow build, you might call it. It uses the Lasting Covenant augment as a cornerstone of this build because, as you'll see in the gameplay to come with the Komorex, we're going to be landing a lot of headshots, and we want to keep that crit chance bonus going from his 4th ability. And Lasting Covenant allows you to do that by just continuously getting headshot kills, basically, so the ability will never turn off. It's very useful. Now, as for the rest of the build, we're building very hard into being just a shield tank builds, essentially. So that's why we have adaptation along with primed redirection on. Those two things together, combined with the on-command shield restore of Condemn, allows you to have a pretty tanky shield build. And then you also have some health restore from his Penance ability. You, of course, have infinite energy from Thurible. And like we said, Covenant is the massive crit chance increase. Now, we do have a little bit of range on here, primarily for the purposes of Condemn, so that we can actually hit enough people to get the shields back that we need. Prime Flow is on here, of course, just for the energy restore. You could honestly afford to drop this, most likely, given the fact that he has Thurible, but even so, he has a fairly lower base energy value, so I'm just going to go ahead and keep that on just to be safe. Blind Rage and Umbral Intensifier are the strength mods on here. Again, Blind Rage, the minus 55% efficiency it gives, not at all an issue, thanks to Thurible. So that's not a concern whatsoever. And then we do have Prime Continuity on here for some duration, so we don't have as much upkeep on the abilities. The aura choice is kind of up to you. I do have Corrosive Projection on here right now. It's really not necessary. I might actually change that to Growing Power, in fact, so there we go. We'll stick with that. And then for the Arcanes, we're using Aegis and Augmented. Aegis, of course, works very well on a frame that has this many shields and can generate shields on command. And Augmented will just get our strength even higher to boost up our abilities more. So we'll get even more energy from Thurible, for example, and even more fire rate and healing and whatnot, and reload speed from Penance. So very good, very easy to use. And here is the Komorex build. So this is the build that I use specifically on Harrow. You'll notice that there's no crit chance mods on here, and that's because Harrow's 4th ability, Covenant, when it's stacked up all the way, gives you a flat plus 50% crit chance modifier, and on headshots, it's quadrupled to 200%. So we're going to be hitting orange to red crits without even modding for any crit chance, as long as we keep hitting those headshots. Now, I will say, fun fact about the Komorex, if you look at the unique trait here, it says Max Zoom has minus 75% fire rate, but causes a 3.5 meter viral explosion, and it converts all secondary ammo pickups into 100% of the sniper ammo. So it has a built-in mutation, so the only reason we're using Vigilante Supplies is because of the crit buff, basically. But the important part is, of course, the 3.5 meter viral explosion is amazing, so that's free viral damage and procs in a radial area, but the minus 75% fire rate, that's a bit of a bummer. Now, that is solved by Harrow. In fact, that's more than solved by Harrow, because his Pennant ability gives you, or Penance, whatever it's called, can give you much more than 75. So this is completely offset, and in fact, you go back into the positive. But on frames where you're not playing as Harrow, how do we solve this? Well, you could, of course, use Vile Acceleration, for example, and get that plus 90% fire rate. You could do that, or you could use Semi-Rifle Cannonade. This gives you 240% damage and 1.5 punch through. So the damage is of course nice, but what you don't see on here is you don't see any fire rate increase. So it's like, why is this useful? Well, it's useful because it says fire rate cannot be modified. Typically when people see this, they think, oh, okay, so I can't add any fire rate to the weapon. True, if you add a positive fire rate mod, I won't do anything. That's not all that it does, though. It really means fire rate cannot be modified, as in from the base value. That includes negative values, even negative values that the weapon innately has. So this disables the minus 75% fire rate on the full zoom mode. So this mod basically gives you plus 75% fire rate when you're fully zoomed in, putting you back to neutral. So this gives you 75% fire rate and 240% damage. So this is, for this use case, dramatically better DPS than Val Acceleration, because it's only a 15% fire rate difference effectively, but you also get 240% base damage. So this is absolutely the way to go if you want to get really good fire rate on the full zoom mode when you're not playing as Harrow, or if you're not using a Arcane, for example, to get that fire rate up. Let's put that Toxin mod back on and talk about the Harrow build. So this is a Blast Toxin build. As you can see, the stats chance is super high, and it's even better when you fully zoomed in. So we're running Galvanized Chamber here, of course. We're running a bunch of elementals to end up with Blast Toxin. The reason why we're running 3 mods for Blast, including primed cryo rounds, is because we want to make sure that blast weighting is super high. And it is. If you look at the status over here, it says that there's a 80.7% chance for Blast to proc, because that's the main thing that we want to go off. There is going to be some Toxin too, though. And it's good to have both Blast and Toxin, because Rifle Elementalist is going to be a 90% status damage increase for both of those status effects. So basically a 1.9x multiplier to all of the Blast and Toxin procs that we do. And the Slash as well, because there is going to be some Slash procs. There's 17% chance for Toxin and 13.6 for Slash. So the Slash procs will also be very strong when they occur. Hammer Shot, I don't find that I can fit into a lot of builds, but it's actually perfect on this build because we don't need crit chance thanks to Harrow, and we want a ton of crit damage and a ton of status chance because it's exactly what is juicing this build up. It's all of the forced crit and all of the status damage we're putting out. So Hammer Shot fits perfectly into here. And yeah, that's pretty much the build. We are also using primary Deadhead because, again, we're going to be going for those headshots. We're playing as Harrow. We have to get headshots to keep Covenant going. And if you are going for headshots, this is a huge damage increase because along with being the same 360% base damage that all of the Steel Path Arcanes give, this also gives plus 30% to the headshot multiplier. And that's multiplicative, by the way. And the minus recoil is nice. It basically turns into a laser beam, if it wasn't already. I will say, if you ever get a ribbon for this weapon, if you can get one like mine that has negative zoom, having negative zoom on this is incredible. It makes the full zoom mode so much better to use, but even without it, it's still definitely usable. Let's go ahead and hop into a Kuva Fortress and see how disgustingly devastating this weapon is. Go ahead and charge up that Thurible first thing, and that way your first kills you get start immediately charging energy up. Now remember his second ability, the amount of fire rate and, well, not fire rate, the amount of duration that it has scales with the amount of shields that you sacrifice. So you want to sacrifice a lot there. You can see I just got over 100 minutes. I did not immediately shield gate, and that's my fault. So let's go ahead and get back up. Yeah, right after you use the second ability, you need to make sure you use Condemn to get your shields back, because it specifically drains all of your shields to give you those buffs. So that's my bad. Anyways, let's take some damage here to charge up his fourth. And you'll see the weapon becomes real gross when I do that. Yep. Yeah, those numbers don't lie. So the amazing thing about a Harrow on this weapon is that if you think about it, he literally solves every single problem the weapon has. The Komorex has super low reload speed, which he fixes because the second ability buffs that. It has super low fire rate when you're fully zoomed in. Again, the second ability fixes that. It has super low crit chance at 16% baseline. And guess what else Harrow fixes? that problem with his 4th ability in the augment. He fixes everything basically that's wrong with this weapon and buffs the absolute living hell out of it and makes it do this. So yeah, it's actually super gross. This is actually my favorite weapon that I've ever used on Harrow. As you can see, it's ridiculously effective. Those procs, that status damage is insane if they even survive the initial explosion. Speaking of the explosion, remember that you get free viral procs from the fully zoomed explosion mode. So not only is this doing a ton of damage in the first place, but it's also getting its damage multiplied by putting those free viral procs on, which act as a damage multiplier up to 4.25x damage if you have 10 viral procs on somebody. Now, even just that first viral proc is all you need for it to be incredible, because the first viral proc is a 100% damage increase. So even that just doubles your damage. Yeah, this is just gross. As long as you're getting a lot of kills, even though you have really low reserve ammo on this weapon, since it has built-in 100% mutation, you don't really have any ammo issues. As long as you kill enough enemies, which is super easy with massive damage radial explosions on Harrow. You definitely want to get those headshots for maximal damage. And since we have a little bit of punch through built in from Rifle Elementalist, we can shoot through some doors like that, for example. Yeah, it is just too good. We'll see how it fares against the Acolyte before we get out of here. You can see in the bottom right, thanks to the augment, Covenant is just lasting forever. Like I said, whenever you get a headshot, you get that duration back from headshot kills. So it's just, oh, here comes Violence. He's going to ruin my abilities. I see how it is, Violence. He wants to ruin the video. Violence, you are an annoying bastard, you know that? You know what? You can have a crewmate. There you go. So you can see the damage of the Komorex is obviously fine for killing Acolytes. I just wasn't able to showcase it properly against Violence because one of the effects that Violence has is that he nullifies your ability, so he turned off my crit chance bonus. But of the shots that I did get off, you saw very few of them took away massive chunks of his health. So it definitely works. That was just the most annoying showcase possible. Thank you, Warframe. Thank you for that. Now my crewmate is stealing all my damage. But yeah, this is Harrow with the Komorex. This will scale extremely far in terms of enemy levels, given the absolutely insane amount of raw damage that you're putting out. So if you want to take this to a Steel Path mission for, you know, an hour, 2 hours, whatever you want to do, this will do it absolutely zero issue. Especially if you want to slap a ribbon on there, or maybe optimize the build a bit more with a Bane or something like that. It's up to you. Where's my crewmate? Crewmate, can you stay here, please? Yeah, you see that was like a tier 2 red crit right there. You saw the exclamation mark. And this fire rate is so insane. When this ability runs out, I'm going to show you how slow the fire rate is without having Harrow or any other fire rate mod on the weapon. Just so you can see how much of a difference that Harrow is making. Or if you were to put on semi-rifle cannonade. As for right now, we'll just keep getting kills. There we go. So look how low this fire rate is now. actually looks a little higher than it's supposed to be. Do I have a fire rate mod on? Oh, I wasn't max zoom. My bad. There we go. Yeah. That's why I wasn't doing even max damage. Okay. Yeah, so make sure you're on the 3.5 zoom. So yeah, on the 3.5 zoom, it's insanely slow without Harrow's fire rate buff. As you can see here. Yeah, it's amazing. Since it is a sniper, you also get that damage multiplier from the shot combo. You can see at the bottom of the zoom screen there, that sniper shot combo. So that's even more damage on top of the huge amounts that you're already modded for and getting from Harrow. But yeah, let's hop back to the ship here, guys. So that's Harrow with the Komorex. I'll show the builds again real quick here. As you can see, amazingly good. The damage output is way higher than, you know, what we're usually used to seeing with a weapon combination like that. Here's the Harrow build, if you guys want to see that again. And here is the Komorex build. Again, this is the Harrow specific Komorex build. This is why it's, you know, so specifically disgusting on him. Definitely try this combination out. It's incredible. Especially, it's nice because you're turning a weapon that isn't usually, you know, like in the quote-unquote meta and not usable as much for, like, hordes of enemies. When you slap it onto Harrow and when you combine it with its innate AoE on the fully zoomed mode, you really make it beyond viable. So try it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below, or maybe you've already used something like this. If you have any other ideas for, like, weapon and frame pairings to make a weapon that isn't usually amazing, you know, much better with a certain frame. Let me know in the comments. I'm always interested in seeing your guys' ideas. If you liked the video, consider dropping a like and a sub on the channel. It helps a lot. As always, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.